But
hey y'all.
I don't know who y'all is. I'm just recording for whoever. But I'm gonna lay down now. All right. Hey y'all, what's going on? It's me, your girl Kira, and I was doing this video basically to talk about my story of having uterine cancer. If you watch my previous video, you know that I basically, briefly talked about how I'm a cancer survivor, and I went on a walk to support that cause and everything. If you remember in the beginning of that video, you can tell it kind of like bothered me a little bit to talk about it. That was actually the first time I was coming, like, I mean, of course I came to terms that I had it, but it was actually very therapeutic to talk about it, because just like actually like talking about it and facing it and just being like I had cancer and really like sitting there like accepting that. It was 2 years. It's been 2 years that I've been a survivor, and I still didn't fully accept it. It was hard to say those words out my mouth. I don't know if everybody's going to understand what I mean when I say that, but I know what I mean, and I know what I feel and what I felt when I was doing that video. Anyway, let me talk about my story. As I said, I am a survivor of cancer for 2 years. It was in 2016 when I found out I had it. Basically what happened was I was having a lot of heavy bleeding, which I always had problems with, like my cycles and stuff. Like I was on for like a month when I was 13 years old, and then I've had times where I was not on, like, you're supposed to come on every month. I didn't do that all the time until I was an adult, and then I had lost like 60 pounds, and I finally started coming on like clockwork, like every month, like I was supposed to. Then so when it hit me again, when it wasn't like, when it was irregular, that's when I was just like, okay, something's weird. It's happening again. My cycles are acting up again. I didn't think anything of it, just like, okay, my body's acting up again, So I had my cycle, and then I think I went off for like 2 days or something, and then I came on, and that was in February, and I never had stopped coming on all the way up until I had to have my surgeries, which I had to have 2 surgeries. Okay, so let me talk about it. Initially, when I had all the heavy bleeding, I went to a doctor. It was a male doctor, and he thought it was fibroids, and he kept telling me he wanted to do like some tests, but if I was bleeding too heavy, they couldn't do it. And so, as I stated, I never stopped bleeding, so they could never do the test and everything. And y'all bear with me when I'm telling this story, because I was going through so much with my health and in my personal life that it was like, it's still like a blur, certain things. I just know I was just going through it day by day, just going through it. So y'all bear with me. So basically, yeah, his doctor kept saying he couldn't do the test if it was too heavy. So I remember the one time I had an appointment with him, I was bleeding too heavy. I was like, I don't care, I'm going anyway. Like, I just keep bleeding. So I never made it to his doctor's office because I felt like I was going to faint. I was losing so much blood. I'm telling you, I would get in the shower and I would feel like I was going to pass out. And I had to go to the emergency room instead of going to my doctor's appointment because I just felt like I was going to pass out. So basically, I went to the emergency room, and, I let them know my problem, that I was having heavy bleeding and everything. So they did like the ultrasound. They did the external ultrasound, is when they, like when you have a baby, you're pregnant, and they do put the sticky stuff on your stomach. Then they did the internal, where they check you, they do it vaginal. So because I was bleeding so heavy, they had to be like careful with all of that, or not careful. They just, I think when you're bleeding, it's harder for them to get a clearer picture, basically. So anyway, they told me when they did the test, they were just like, you're, what did they say? They told me I had fibroids. So let's keep this in mind. I didn't know that I had uterine cancer. I thought it was fibroids all this time. Even before I went to the doctor, most of the time, a lot of women go through fibroid problems. So that's what I assumed it was. But when I went to the doctor, they assumed the same thing. When a doctor should never assume. They're supposed to take tests to make sure. My doctor, the male that I was talking about, you know, the male doctor, he ended up giving me this medicine to try to make the bleeding stop. Fast forward down the line, I ended up in the emergency room again. I ended up in the emergency room 2 or 3 times. I had so many blood transfusions, y'all. The doctors were surprised when they would check my blood count. They were like, we're surprised you haven't fainted yet. And I'm like, I'm surprised too, because every time I get in the shower, I feel like I'm going to faint. I would literally have to get out and just like lay across the floor. But I never fainted, thank God. But I had so many times when I felt like it, because, you know, you need blood to survive, to move. You know what I mean? I had ended up in the emergency room again. I think I was in the emergency room about 2 or 3 times at least. They had to call a doctor to get permission from him to do the test, and he was like, no, he didn't want them to do it. He wanted to do it. And I'm like, I'm sitting up in here sick. I'm about to pass out, more than pass out. I'm about to die. I don't hardly have any blood in my body. That's your lifeline. You need blood to live. So I'm like, forget him. I don't want him as a doctor. He wanted to do the test. Man, it is an emergency situation. I need to have this handled right now. Hence, I'm in the emergency room. I was like, forget him. Give me a doctor here. They gave me a doctor on call. You know how they have the emergency doctors on call. She was a gynecologist. She came in. She was, you know how they ask you your medication. I told her the medicine. She said, this is what I give to my patients if, you know, I guess if they want them to bleed, to try to give them a cycle or whatever. I don't know. But I'm like, if this is he gave this to me to stop my blood, you're making me bleed more. Like, are you trying to kill me? Clearly. I know what y'all thinking. You should have sued him. At that moment, everybody was like, you need to sue, you need to sue. All I cared about at that moment was, I want to get better. This doctor, she planned the surgery for me. I end up having the surgery. Okay, and even before they did the surgery, they did another, what do they call it, transvaginal ultrasound. That's when they check you vaginally. And they just kept on saying it's in a weird place. They kept on saying the fibroids are in a weird place, are in a weird place. Before that surgery, she did a DNC. And I think they give that to women when they have like a miscarriage or whatever. It cleans like the blood off the walls and all that stuff. They did that with me. That was the first time I ever went under anesthesia. I was so scared. They wasn't cutting on me, I was just scared. I was like, I'm scared. The doctor, she told me, she was like, it's okay. She said, when I was in your situation, she said, I was scared too, but you're going to be fine. And that did slow my bleeding down a little bit. But of course, due to it being a cancerous tumor, which nobody knew at the time, still thinking it's fibroids, it started back up bleeding. Fast forward, they ended up doing the surgery. It was just one fibroid. You rarely hear that it's one. You usually hear it's a couple and all that. But it was one. And my doctor was very cool. She was a very funny woman, and I should have known something was up, but she wasn't like joking as much. But she was like, girl, you had me sweating in the emergency room. You know what I mean? And I'm like, dang, they must have had a hard time. They gave me what you call a myomectomy. They like slit my stomach open at the bottom, like the same way they do women who have C-sections and stuff. That was the worst pain I ever felt. Oh my gosh. I'll never forget when I woke up in the recovery room. I was like, I'm alive. The doctor was like, yes, you're alive. She was like, do you want anything? You want soda, crackers? I was like, yes. She gave me like the little canned ginger ale and stuff. And every time I'm naturally just a person that has manners, and I'm really big on saying thank you if somebody do the smallest thing for me. So I was just like, thank you, thank you. And I was like in and out of sleep. I can hear her on the little, like, I guess walkie-talkie type of thing, the speaker thing. And she was telling people, she was like, I have a young lady here. She's very young. She is so polite. She is so sweet and everything. And I just remember her saying like these nice things about me and all that. And I remember I was in and out of sleep. I wanted to be like, thank you, you're so nice. But I never forgot that. Another thing I'll never forget, when they transported me up to my room, they switched me from that one bed to the other bed. Oh my gosh, the pain when they moved me over and my stomach went. I was so mad at the guy who was transporting me, even though it wasn't his fault. I was like, you trying to hurt me? This hurts so bad. They just monitored me for, I think it was a couple of days maybe. I'm walking around the room. Look at my little socks. Oh, my stomach hurts, but look at this view, my dad. laid on his couch and took care of me. And he loved this view, the helicopter. I don't know if you can see it. They land right there, and he's fascinated with helicopters and airplanes and jets and stuff like that. He was like a big kid in a candy store or something. But yeah, he was so fascinated with the helicopter. I think 2 landed here since I've been here. But I got a little bit more strength. My stomach's still sore. But I wanted to record this moment because this is the most strength I had throughout this process. And my stomach still hurts. But look, I'm walking a little. It hurts, but I have to take my time, but I'm doing it. And I'm proud of myself. See my dad Redskins coat over there. Got a rep for them skins. Had a few haters in here. But it's alright. Alright, I want to get back in the bed. It's my TV. Looking at Fresh Prince. And today was the first day I got to eat food. Solid food.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm recording myself. I'm recording myself because I can walk a little bit, so I'm showing off. And I had pancakes. But I ain't eating none yet. There's my father. And he happy. He's been nervous the whole time. But
Hey, y'all.
I don't know who y'all is. I'm just recording. For whoever. But I'm going to lay down now. Alright. Everything, they gave me morphine. Which, with the little pump. You hit the pump every time you want pain. But they have it monitored so you can only do it every so often. That thing wasn't doing nothing. So they gave me, what was it, oxycodone or something. Went home, I was fine, had to do my follow-up. My doctor would be joking a lot. Like, she was just kind of like comical, funny. She was not like this day. My father was with me. And if you wonder why I keep saying my father, people are like, well, where's your mom? My mom passed away from cancer when I was 16 years old. My grandmother also had cancer. She had a below-the-belt cancer, too. She had ovarian cancer. My mom was in her early 50s, I believe 52. My grandmother was in her early 70s. And this was my mother's mom when I say my grandmother. So this is something that clearly like runs in my family. So my father, he's there for me. Oh my gosh. I care about my father like best father ever. Anyway, he was there with me every step of the way. You know, that's hard for a man. They don't know everything women go through, but he was there. I mentioned that to say my father was there with me. She wanted my father to be in the back when she was like doing my checkup. And I'm like, that's weird. Why she want him back here? So she had one of the nurses go and get him, but he was in the bathroom. So she just went on and told me. She was like, basically, she was just like, you know, they tested the fibroid, which they always do when you have fibroids removed. And 9 times out of 10, it's not cancerous. And she was just like, we found out this was a tumor and it was cancerous. And I'm in disbelief because I'm thinking I'm just getting over all this bleeding, the fibroid stuff and all that. And mind you, after I had my surgery, she told me, I remember telling her about the pain, and she was like, kept telling me, you cannot have a baby for, I can't even remember the amount of time. I think 18 months or something. It was a certain amount of months. She said, you can't get pregnant. She was like, because you have to properly heal all the way. And then she was like, just think, when you finally do have when you do have a child, you're going to be going through all this pain again, because once you have that myomectomy surgery, you can't have it vaginally. I think you always have to have your baby through a C-section. At least that's what she told me. So anyway, she basically told me, fast forwarding back to her, you know, my checkup, my follow-up appointment, she was basically telling me it was cancerous. And I'm looking at her like, is this real life? Okay. I just got over thinking I'm better from fibroids, and you're telling me it's cancerous. My father came out the bathroom, the nurse brought him back there, and my father's just like, what's going on? I think he could tell something was weird, because he was like, why am I back here? She told him, she like, do you want me to tell him or you tell him? I said, you tell him. She told him, and he was just like, I think he was in shock like me, but he was trying to keep it together for me. I broke down crying because you know when you hear the word cancer, it's like, am I going to die type of thing. And I remember crying so bad. We didn't even drive. I just sat in the car and cried so bad. I will never forget that. Uh, yeah, that was hard. So I couldn't sleep. I was depressed. I was going through a lot of stuff in my personal life too. It was just like, what is going on? And I know you're not supposed to question God, but I was like, why is this happening to me, God? What is going on? Why is this happening? And not trying to be like, woe is me, but I was just really like, what is going on? Fast forward, I end up having another surgery once I followed up with this oncologist. This doctor, this oncologist, she was straight up. I was like, are you telling me I have cancer? She was like, you have cancer. Like, she was like straight up or whatever. I just had one surgery. I got to have another one. She was like, I want to have it now. And she told me that I would have to have a total hysterectomy. This bothered me because I don't have children. And if I have a total hysterectomy, I'm not going to be able to have kids. But she referred me, even without me mentioning it, she referred me to a fertility specialist. And they were saying, you know, they gave me all the different options they can do. They would keep my ovaries and then, you know, freeze my eggs, all this stuff. This stuff costs a lot of money. And I was in no position to pay for that. And, you know, I was in a relationship, but we kind of were like breaking up around that time. I was in like a 12-year relationship actually. So yeah, we were just breaking up around that time. So I was just like, if I ever want to adopt in the future, I'm going to, if I ever want to have kids in the future, I'm going to adopt. The fertility specialist, he was very nice. He explained everything in detail. It was just so much going on, and I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing this. If I would have done that, she would have did the surgery, cut my ovaries, and then the fertility specialist would have did what he had to do. And then eventually I would have had to go back and have another surgery, have my ovaries removed. And it was just like, just take everything out. I don't want to keep having surgery after surgery. I'll adopt. So I had my next surgery, which was less abrasive, meaning they just did 5 little slits. I still have the scars on my stomach. And they call it, it's like a robotic surgery. They just cut 5 little slits, put the little like robotic thing in there, and they move all of, you know, your female organs out, and it comes out vaginally. I was able to go home that same day. They just monitored me for a few hours and stuff. And this medicine they had me on this time, this pain medicine was called Dilaudid. I was like in and out. Oh my gosh. That's my story of finding out I had uterine cancer. I am a survivor of it, and I'm so grateful that I didn't have to have chemotherapy. I didn't have to have radiation. She was checking me every 3 months. Every 3 months, I have to go get a CT scan. And she does like a physical check too, to make sure that I'm all good and everything. I know a lot of people may have been looking at the other video like, you're a survivor, you should be happy and all that. Very happy, very grateful. It's not until you get better when you really get to sit and think like everything you went through, and it's a process and accepting that stuff. I tell you, the thing that bothers me the most, as I said, I don't have any children. So that was why they sent me to the fertility specialist as well. Because now, having had that surgery, a total hysterectomy, I don't have the option to ever carry my own child. That hurts me more than anything, because it's almost like that was taken from me. And I a lot of times I'm like, why was that taken from me? And like I said, I'm very grateful to be alive, because it could have went another way. But I still be like, sometimes like, why did I have to go through that? I sit back and I look at it some days and I'm like upset about it, and other days I'm like, it's a reason for this. I know it was. Whether it's a reason for eventually down the line I might have to adopt a child, or whether or not if I would have been able to carry my own child, that because my mom, because my grandmother had it, because I had it, if I would have passed it to my child, and my sister brought this up to me. Because you look at it, my grandmother was in her 70s, my mom was in her 50s, I was in my late 20s. if I had a child, you know how you see these kids with cancer? If maybe my child would have been one of those, you know, so I don't know. And I may not never know during this lifetime while I'm here on earth, you know what I mean? So I know everything happens for a reason, and I have to remember that, you know, but it's so hurtful. It's so hurtful a lot of times, but I feel like I'm getting better with understanding and accepting that this is the path that God gave me. For whatever reason, this is the path that God gave me, and I'm alive and I'm blessed and I'm grateful to still be here. I would say to anybody that's going through cancer, have a support system. I had great friends that and family that helped me. God, pray, talk to him like you would talk to your friend, because he knows better than anybody. He knows you. He knows what you're going through. I had a lot of nights where I just cried. I was depressed. I couldn't even sleep, you know, even after the fact, because as I expressed, I couldn't have kids. That makes me depressed and stuff sometimes. Also, when you have hysterectomy, you go like into menopause, you have hot flashes and stuff. Everybody's different. Mood swings. My friends and my family could probably tell you that I've been moody, and I'm really like a really nice laid back person for the most part, but I know sometimes I be moody and I be getting on their nerves. So I want to thank y'all if y'all watching this. I love y'all for dealing with me. Because, you know, I try to really like control it and not let it control me. But I am blessed. I'm doing good. I go and I get checked. I was getting checked every 3 months, and now my doctor changed it to every once a year now. She's just so happy every time I see her with how well I'm doing and everything. And nobody more happier than me, though. Like, I really thank God for him blessing me and allowing me to live and make it through. I'm so grateful for that. But again, to anybody watching this that's going through it, have a good support system. Number one, talk to God. He's going to help you through this, all of this. All of this. If you know somebody that has it, you know, a loved one, a friend, like family, like it's hard to see that, because I've witnessed it. I witnessed my grandmother and my mom go through it. That's so hard. And I was a teenager. My mom passed away when I was 16. My grandmother passed away a day before my prom. I almost didn't want to go, but my family was like, you got to go. She would want you to go. And watching that at such a young age was not easy. I still have the images and different memories that I went through with that. You know, watching them suffer and stuff. The good part about it is I know they're not suffering anymore, and I remember the good memories when they were healthy and how they were doing and everything. Your number one thing is to do is to pray, and then have a good support system. I don't care if there's one person. I don't care if it's 2 people. If it's a lot of people. Just have somebody and pray. Also, if it's any woman out there who have had a hysterectomy, if you had a hysterectomy and you don't have kids, know that you're not alone. I go through that all the time, and I know that having that taken from you is hard or whatever. It's some women who don't care. They're like, I ain't never want no kids anyway. They actually don't care. But I know it's other women who do care. Know that you're not alone, and know that this was the path that God gave us for whatever reason, and we're blessed. I want to say this to women who are trying to have kids. It's some women who are trying to have kids, and I want to say to you that you are blessed, that you are able to even have the option to try. Continue to try. Continue to pray to God, and he's going to bless you with a child, and you're going to be fine. To everybody watching this, I want to say thank you for watching my video. Thank you for your support. A lot of people showed me so much support in my last video, and I want to thank you, and I love you guys, and I appreciate you so much, and I pray that this video helps somebody. If anybody's watching this and you're going through something and you want to talk to me, or you need somebody to talk to, you feel like you're alone, I'm here. I'm going to leave my information in the description box. You can contact me on social media via Twitter, via Instagram, and we can talk from there. Thank you guys for watching this video. I love you guys again. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video because it might really help somebody. All right, y'all. Until next time. Bye, my sweeties. Bye.